Yep, let's go.
Okay, okay, okay. So it should be
Kilayim Zain Ches, go.
Zion Ches, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, let me see where I am. I moved it over here. Okay. Here we go. Uh, come on. Oh man. Okay. A perforated plant pot renders forbidden in a vineyard, but one that is not perforated does not render forbidden. Reb Shimon, however, says both are unlawful yet are not rendered forbidden. If one carries a perforated plant pot through a vineyard, it is increased by 1/200th. It is forbidden.
Okay, so here is the standard machlokes we have with a perforated pot. The Chachamim's view is that a perforated pot is as if it's connected to the ground, and therefore it's you might as well have planted it directly in the ground in terms of kilayim as well. If it's not perforated, it's not connected to the ground, and that's not a problem. The interesting question over here is when a person has a perforated pot with a plant in it, and he
Right.
walks through the vineyard carrying it. So it's not actually had a chance to sprout.
Yeah.
So they say if the time that he takes to walk through the vineyard is enough time for it to grow 1/200th of its size, an extra 1/200th, then that's then that will answer the vineyard because of kilayim.
Right. Right. That's an interesting fact.
At least it lasts the plant. I'm actually not sure about the whole vineyard because if he's moving, you may not have an epicenter for a um, for where it causes the damage.
It might be just that one spot where it became 1/200th, and
May,
afterwards.
well, yeah, that's the thing is that the growth is how much did it grow and where? It's an interesting question, and it's not actually answered in the commentary here as to where the Isser is taken from. It says Asr, but Avala Gefanim. Actually, it says in the footnotes here, the Gefanim lo nesru. Kevin Shiloi Nechat Seitz Bakarka, since he never put the pot on the ground, it never becomes Asr. However, the others who Mefarshim say that the um, so some people explain that the reason is only because of a knas, that the Chachamim put a knas on him that he should have been careful about kilayim for not taking it through. However, das Rambam is that the zera in the atzitz doesn't become aser at all, and the Mishnah is only telling us that it's aser lechatchila to take it through the thing. And the lashon of the Mishnah is not very easy for the Rambam over here because it does seem pretty clear that the seed becomes aser. But nonetheless, just wanted to have that in there. So it seems that the vineyard itself does not become aser.
It's very strange. It's very kind of strange halacha.
But that if you're moving it through.
Right,
So
right.
if it grows 1/200, then that's the shear of Betel for kilayim. So if it's more than one against 200, then it's now kilayim over here, and therefore it becomes aser. But nonetheless, it doesn't prohibit the vineyard.
We didn't
Okay.
realize that when Shemitah came, we didn't realize that we were moving all up. A lot of the pots have holes in the bottom, and they have a little dish underneath it. And
Hmm.
we had to move them from where they were. We had to put, because they were on the what do you call it, like on the merpeset. And they said if the stone's on the merpeset and there's a hole there, that's considered that it's going to be growing. It could grow through, a crack or something.
Hold on. Have you got a grapevine on your Merpeset?
No, no grapevine, no grapevine on my merpeset. Not that I know about, but
Okay.
just a lemon vine. Okay, all right. I can't even think. Where are we? I just forgot where I was.
Okay, Ches.
Yeah, I know. I just
Oh, we just did Ches.
I really messed up running
Okay,
around.
so now Ches
Vineyard
Aleph.
of Kilayim may neither be sown nor maintained, and it is forbidden to derive any benefit from it. Seed Kilayim may neither be sown nor maintained, but it is permitted to eat it, and of course to derive benefit from it. Any benefit may be derived from Kilayim garments, and it is only forbidden to wear them. It is permitted to wear Kilayim animals, and it is only forbidden to breed them. Animal Kilayim may not be paired one with the other. And a domestic animal with a domestic animal, a wild animal with a wild animal, a domestic animal with a wild animal, and a wild animal with a domestic animal, unclean with unclean, clean with clean, unclean with clean, and clean with unclean, are forbidden to plow, to draw, and to drive. Okay.
Okay, so now we're talking about the Indian of Kilai Behema.
Right.
Here in the terms of plowing with them together, which is one prohibition. There are two prohibitions of Kilai Behema. One is plowing with them, and one is breeding them.
Mhm. Right.
Okay. So now we're talking about, it's not dafka plowing, it's also anything that harnesses them if they're pulling a carriage, as we'll see now. Says Mishna Gimel, Hamanhig Sofeg Esa Arbaim. So the person who drives the kilayim, let's say you've got a horse and a donkey tethered together on a cart. So the person who drives them, he's chayav malchus for this. Now,
Are they talking about does it have to be connected? They have to be connected like a harness between the two of them, or it doesn't matter as long as they're.
well, we're going to see some configurations over here as well. Let's assume for the simple case that the horse and the donkey are harnessed together and they're pulling the cart together. Okay. So the person who leads them, he gets 40 lashes for leading them. Okay. Hayoshev bekaron sofeg esarbaim. Not only that, but the person sitting in the carriage gets 40 lashes. Now this should be opening your eyes a lot. Why?
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 Why did he do? He's just sitting there.
Right. He's just sitting there. Well, the point being over here that normally you don't get lashes for a lav she'en bo maaseh, where he didn't actually do anything.
Really do anything.
He was just sitting there. Okay. So this is more of an active sitting over here. It's where you've got your animals that are kind of trained that as soon as the person sits down, now you take off. So he sat down. Effectively, he's giving them the signal to go by sitting down over there. And that's why it is that that he does it for Rabbi Meir Potter. Rabbi Meir says he doesn't really cause the animals to move, but the halacha does not follow Rabbi Meir. Hashlishis shehi kashur l'ritzuos asura. Now this is where we're talking about the different sort of configuration. A third one that's tied to the straps. Okay, for example, says Kahati, where he takes two horses on the carriage, and the horses are harnessed together with something between them, and then he takes a donkey and ties it to the strap of the horse. So it's a kind of a third wheel over there. Even though the carriage is mostly being pulled by the horses, it's asur to do this with the donkey because it's still tied to the same setup. Rambam actually explains this in a slightly different way. He says that the third one is a third carriage that is tied between the two, and even that third one, he says Rambam, is asur to sit in if everything is being pulled by Kilai Behema. So that's why it's that's a different interpretation, that the third one is referring to a wagon, that you've got a horse and a donkey pulling two wagons, and then the third one is sort of tied to the back of the two. So even sitting in that third one is asur, according to Rambam. That's what the Mishnah is telling us.
But he doesn't say whether it goes on like a fourth or fifth. It doesn't say.
Well, yeah. Okay, once you're saying that it's being carried by the power of the kilayim, it doesn't matter if it's a third, fourth, or fifth. Right. It's all being carried by the power. Once you've already said that once it's a step removed and it's still asur, then it should be the same ad infinitum.
Chave would know not to do this, and I'm a arts. Maybe we just do it because it doesn't matter to him, I guess. Maybe.
This is why we learn halacha.
Right. Okay.
Okay, Mishnah Daled. En kosher is asus lo letzidei hakaron. You're not allowed to tie the horse not to the sides of the carriage and not to behind the carriage. And you can't okay, so first let's look at those two things. So let's say you've got donkeys or oxen towing the wagons, and now you're not allowed to tie a horse even to the side of the carriage. Okay, you might think that it's just sort of harnessed there and not really taking part in it even. Because sometimes the horse itself will want to go ahead and it'll lend its own force to the pulling. Okay, and also not even behind the carriage, because even then sometimes the horse will push in the forward direction. Okay. Loista luvdakim lagamalim. Luvdakim are the donkeys of Libya, which are big and strong, and you can't harness them together with the camels, even though they are similar. They look similar. And I think we might have mentioned in the beginning that the Luvdakim and the Gemalim are Kilayim with each other. Let me just see what it is. It would have been in Perek Aleph. I'm just thinking. Hazev Kelev. Okay, no, it doesn't mention them. I thought it might have mentioned them before, but okay. So our Mishnah over here is telling us that Luvdakim and Gemalim are still considered Kilayim with each other, even though they resemble each other. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Kol Hanoladim Min Hasus Afal Pisha Avihen Chamor Mutarim Zeim Zeh. So he makes the point that, let's say you've got a whole bunch of mules that were born from a horse, even though they were all sired by a donkey, they're mutar to work with each other. And even they can't really breed because they're sterile, but nonetheless, you're allowed to harness all these mules together as long as their mother is a horse. Yeah, and the same in the other direction. Even though the father is a sus, even though they were sired by a horse, but their mother is a donkey. So all these mules are mutar to work with each other. So mules that were sired by a horse and mules that were sired by a donkey are considered kilayim with each other. Okay. And this is the halacha. So even though it's quoted in the name of Yachid Rabbi Yehuda, that nonetheless is the halacha. Aprutios asuros. The prutios are mules that we're not sure if they were born from a horse or from a donkey. So they're asur to work with anything else. If you have a suffix as to what their lineage is, you just know that it's a mule, but you don't know if it's from a horse or from a mare, or for a horse or from a donkey. Then you're stuck. You can't have them harnessed with anything else. Okay, v'aramach mutar. However, a ramach is that's something where there's a vadai that the mother is a horse. Okay, so that you can as we said in the previous Mishnah, imramach acheshu imasos or imasos even, it says lefishu min sus. That's interesting. You're saying that Kahati is saying that this is even permitted to work with a horse.
Or a horse, right? Mated or harnessed with another bramak or a horse, since it is a kind of a horse.
That's a surprising thing. I would have said not. Okay. Anyway, Atne Hasadeh. So now this is one of these fantastic beasts. We don't know quite what it is. The Yerushalmi says it's a kind of a wild man. Maybe it's a yeti. I don't know.
You say a yeti?
Yeti.
Yeah.
You know, the abominable snowman. I don't know.
I think it said yeki.
But, yeti. Adam Per Hamatzoi Baharim Ubayaros, like this wild man found in mountains or in forests. So I have no idea if this is like a legendary abominable snowman or something like that. But it's like a large ape of some sort that looks like a man. So don't know if we're talking about a gorilla even. Right. Okay, so the Mishnah here is not even talking about Kilayim. It's just classifying the Adnei Hasadeh as a chaya. Why is it? What's the relevance of a chaya? Well, as far as I can tell, the only relevance of a non-kosher species being a chaya, if it's a kosher species being a chaya, has a significance because you've got kisoy adam and can't bring it on the mizbeach and things like that. But the gedanashe is mutar. However, when it comes to non-kosher species, like whether a dog is a chaya or a behemoth, the only difference it makes is if somebody makes a neder or something. and says and classifies things. Any chaya that I have, any chaya is aser to me, or something like that. If he makes a legalistic definition, then we have to say, well, what's the legalistic definition of a chaya, and the adnei hasadeh falls under that. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Matam os ba'ohel ka'adam. He says if you have a carcass of an adnei sadeh, he says that this is matame ba'ohel, like a person, which is not the halacha. Akupad v'chuldas hasanayim. That's a hedgehog and a chuldas hasanayim is it's a kind of a weasel that nests in the in bushes, I guess. What does it say in your translation?
The latter's normal habitat, the weasel, are wild animals. They belong to the category of a chaya and not reptiles, the sheriff.
Right. So it's not a reptile. Okay. It's called a chaya. Chuldas hasnaim. So this same species, the chuldas hasnaim, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Beis Shammai Omrim. So he says in the name of Beis Shammai, Metame kazais b'masa v'chadash b'maga. He says because it's a suffix whether this is a sheretz or a regular animal. So we take the chumras of both. So in a sheretz has the chumra that it's matame b'kadash in a very small measure, lentil bulk in terms of touching. But on the kula side, a sheretz is not matame b'masa. But a nevela is matame b'masa in the size of kazayas. So he says you take both chumras, that it has the small shear for touching and it also has a kazayas for carrying. Okay, those are our new Mishnahs for the day.
Okay, all right.
Hey Dalit.
A vine planted in a wine press or in a cleft is granted its tillage space, and one may sow the rest. Rabbi Yossi says if there are not 4 cubits, one may not bring seeds there, and one may sow in a house located in a vineyard. If one plants vegetables or retains them in a vineyard, he renders forbidden 45 vines. If they are planted 4 or 5 apart, if they were planted 6 or 7 apart, he renders forbidden 16 amet in every direction, in a circle and not a square. If one sees vegetables in a vineyard and declares, I will pluck it when I get to it, it is permitted. I will pluck it when I return. If it increased by 200, it's forbidden.
Okay.
Right?
That's it. Demai. Aleph Gimel.
Okay. Oh, I went to the wrong thing. Okay. Okay, Aleph Gimel. If one buys food for seed, or for cattle, flour for hides, oil for lamps, oil for greasing utensils, it's exempt from demai. From kezib and beyond, one is exempt from demai. The challah of an anal oretz and mixed produce and what has been bought with maisa shiny money and the remainders of the meal offerings are exempt from demai. Perfumed oil, Beis Shammai declares it liable, but Hillel declares it exempt. Demai may be used for an erev and for partnership, and the blessing is recited thereon, and one invites on it, and one may separate it in the nude or at dusk.
Why? Because he doesn't have to make a bracha on it.
If one has separated Maisa Sheni before Maisa Rishon, it does not matter. Oil which the weaver rubs on his fingers is liable to demai, but that which the wool comber puts on his wool is exempt from demai. And these are the items liable to tithing as demai everywhere. Press figs, dates, carobs, rice, cumin. Whoever uses rice from outside Eretz Yisrael is exempt. Okay. By the way, I was in my son-in-law was driving the car because he was taking everyone to school with me. I was taking with him, and I found my granddaughter's markers that she just bought. That was very funny. He says, "I'm not tired," you know.
Okay. Gimel Dalet. Machshirin.
Okay. Gimel Dalet. Here we go. Machshirin, what did I do here? Machshirin, that's right. Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay. You said Gimel?
Gimel Dalet. Yeah, we missed a shiro too. So. Yeah.
Oh, so I don't have the other. This is A. Machshirin's only one volume, I think. I'm turning the wrong way again. I did this.
It's what happens when you switch your publishers.
Regarding one who sprinkles his house with water and then placed wheat there, and the wheat was moistened, if it is due to the water, it's included in the law of the water is placed. But if it is due to the bedrock, it is included. It is not included in the law of water is placed. The bedrock meaning that the water is like sweating. The rock is sweating with the bedrock.
Yeah, it's cold and I guess there's condensation maybe.
Regarding one who washes his garment in a basin and he placed wheat there, and the wheat was moistened, if it is due to the water, it is included in the water of place. But if it is due to the kernels of wheat themselves, it is not included in the water if the water is placed. Regarding one who moistens produce in sand, it is included in the law of water is placed. And there was an incident with the people of Machos who would moisten produce in sand. And the Chachamim said to them, if this is what you have been doing, then you have never in your life produced flour in Tahara. Regarding one who moistens produce in dry mud, Reb Shimon says if it contains liquid sufficient to moisten, it is included in the law of water is placed. But if not, it is not included in the law of water is placed. Regarding one who sprinkles his silo with water, he need not be concerned that perhaps he put wheat there and it was moistened. Regarding one who gathers blades of grass when dew is upon them in order to moisten wheat with them, they are not included in the law of water is placed. But if he contended this, it is included in the law of water is placed. Regarding one who transports wheat to grind, and when rain fell on it, if he is happy, it is included in the water of Lord is placed. And Rabbi Yehuda says it is impossible not to be happy, rather only if he stood still. If his olives were placed on the roof and rain fell on them, he is happy, but it is included in the law of water is placed. Rabbi Yehuda said it is impossible not to be happy, rather only if he blocks the drain pipe, or if he rolled the olives about in the water. Okay.
Kilayim chapter 19.
Right. Okay, here we go. You said Yud Tes Aleph?
Yep.
One who dissembles a bed in order to immerse in it, and one who touches his ropes are tahor. At what point is the rope considered connected to the bed? From when the three bottom are woven into the bed. And one who touches the rope from the knot and inward is tameh, and if he touches the rope from the knot and outward, he's tahor. Regarding the strands of the knot, one who touches that part necessary for the knot is tameh. And how much of the strand is necessary for the knot? Rabbi Yehuda says 3 finger widths. Regarding the rope that extends from the bed until 5 handbreadths, it is tahor. From 5 until 10, it's tameh. From 10 handbreadths and beyond, it is tahor. For with this rope, they would tie the Pesach offering to the beds and would lower the beds. The part of the misran that extends from the bed is susceptible to tuma, whatever its length may be. These are the words of Reb Meir. Reb Yossi says only until 10 handbreadths. The minimum length of the remnants of the mizran is 7 handbreadths, which is sufficient to make it a flap for a donkey.
Yep. Sanhedrin. Yud Vav. So we're talking about the Ir Hanidachas.
Did you say Vav?
Yeah, Yud Vav.
Right, okay. Wow, okay. It is as it is stated, and all its spoils you shall gather into its plaza, etc. If it has no plaza, then make one. If its plaza and holy scriptures must be. Did I skip page? No, that's right. If it's I'm sorry. Page got tied together. If its plaza is outside it, they bring it in. And you shall burn the town, and its spoils completely to Hashem your God. Its spoils, not the spoils of heaven. From here they derive that the hektish objects are in it are redeemed, the trumos are left to rot, and the Maisa Sheni and holy scriptures must be buried. Completely to Hashem your God, said Reb Shimon. The Holy One, blessed is he, said, if you will carry out the judgment in an apostate town, it is if you will bring a burnt offering before me. And that shall be a mound forever. It shall not be rebuilt at all. It may not even be made into gardens or orchards. These are the words of Yosef Hagili. Rabbi Akiva said it may never again be rebuilt. It may not be rebuilt for what it was, but it may be made into gardens and orchards. And nothing of the bad matter shall stick to your hand. For as long as the wicked are in the world, there is anger in the world. When the wicked perish from the world, anger disappears from the world. These are the ones who are strangled, one who strikes his father or mother, one who kidnaps a Jew, an elder who rebels against the word of the court, a false prophet, one who prophesies in the name of a false god, and one who commits adultery. The Zomamim are the daughters of the daughter of a Kohen and the man who cohabitated with her.
That last case, by the way, just bear in mind that with the Bas Kohen normally she gets strafer, but this is one of these unique cases that because she gets a strafer, but the adulterer only gets chenek. So and the Edim Zomamim, if Edim Zomamim came and said that about this the Bas Kohen that she committed adultery and they're found to be Edim Zomamim, they go and get executed. But which message do they get? They get the message of the husband, not of the wife. So they get chenek.
One who strikes his father or mother is not liable unless he makes a bruise. This is the stringency of one who curses over one who strikes. One who curses his parents after their death is liable, whereas one who strikes them after their death is exempt. One who kidnaps a Jew is not liable unless he takes him into his possession. And Rabbi Yehuda says, unless he brings him into his possession and makes use of him as it is stated, and he made use of him and sold him. If one kidnaps his son, Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Yochanan ben Broka, renders him liable, and the Chachamim exempt him. If he kidnaps someone who is half slave and half free, Rabbi Yehuda renders him liable, but the Chachamim exempt him. A sage who rebels against the word of the court, as it is stated, if there shall arise a matter too difficult for you to judge, there were 3 courts. There one sat at the entrance to the Temple Mount, one sat at the entrance to the courtyard, and one sat in the chamber of the used stone. They came to the one at the entrance to the Temple Mount, where he says, "Thus I have expounded, and thus my colleagues have expounded. Thus I have taught, and thus my colleagues have taught. If they have heard, they tell them. If not, they come to those at the entrance to the courtyard, where he says, Thus have I expounded, and thus my colleagues have taught. If they have heard, they tell them. If not, they all come to the high court in the chamber of the used stone. From where Torah goes forth to all Israel, as it is stated, from that place that Hashem shall choose. If he returned to his town and continued to teach in the same manner as before, he's exempt. But if he ruled that it be done, it is liable, as it is stated, but the man who will act willfully, he is not liable until he rules that it be done. A disciple who ruled that it be done is exempt, thus his stringency is his leniency.
Okay, so you've got to be a mandama in order to be a zaken mamre.
My son-in-law was telling me yesterday that when he was, I think it was 8 years old when he started Mishna, or 7 years old when he started learning the Mishnah. You know, he grew
Who
up.
was?
When he was learning Mishnah. So
Yeah.
he was 7 or 8 years old and they started learning. Because they learned, he grew up here.
Yeah, that's right.
He said Sanhedrin was his favorite part.
Oh yeah.
I said, why? He said, oh, because all that executions and the Sanhedrin.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, cool. Watching people getting executed. Oh man. Okay, he's been watching too many movies. Better.
Okay.
Aleph Hey.
I'm sorry, I didn't take it out. Okay, I'll get it in 1 second.
No worries. Okay.
Where you holding?
Aleph Hey.
Okay. The Shammai says, we may not remove the shutters on Yom Tov, but Beis Hillel permits even their replacement. Beit Shammai says we may not take the pestle to chop meat upon it, but Beis Hillel permits it. And Beit Shammai says we may not put the hide of a freshly slaughtered animal where it will be trampled, nor may we pick it up, unless meat the volume of a chazayas is on it. But Beis Hillel permits it. And Beit Shammai says we may not carry out neither a small child, nor a lulav, nor a Torah scroll to the public domain, but Beis Hillel permits it. Beit Shammai says we may not deliver challah or to the Kohen or the Kohen's gifts to a Kohen on Yom Tov, whether they were separated yesterday or they were separated today. But Beis Hillel permits it. Beit Shammai said to them, there is an analogy. Challah and gifts are grants to the Kohen, and Truma is a grant to the Kohen. Just as we may not bring the Truma to the Kohen on Yom Tov, so we may not bring gifts. Beis Hillel answered them, no, it is not an agalus. If you say so regarding Truma, one may not separate on Yom Tov, which will also say the same thing regarding gifts, which one may separate on Yom Tov. That was a big machlokus in the Gemara there on this whole thing.
Oh yeah, you read this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beis Shammai says spices may be crushed on Yom Tov with a wooden pestle, but salt should be crushed with a flask or with a wooden mixing spoon. Beis Hillel says spices may be crushed in their usual manner with a stone pestle, but salt should be crushed with a wooden pestle.
Right. The difference between salt and other spices is that salt, there's no reason why you couldn't crush it before Yom Tov. Spices, Spices are different because you want them to be fresh. They've got they're much nicer if you crush them fresh, but salt makes no difference. Okay, we're done.
I did 3.
I think that was 3. Yeah, that was 3.
Oh wow. Okay.
All right, we're done.
We're done. We finished. We didn't.
Yeah.
Well, we finished sukkah.
Okay. Have a
Sukkah.
wonderful day. We'll see
What
you
happened?
tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.
What happened at the sukkah and Pesachim?